Is anybody echoing? Can anybody hear an echo at any point?
Am I echoing?
I didn't hear echo at all last episode.
Last episode we were good. A second ago we did, but Dodge sounds good now.
Right. And then what that was a Bad Batch joke.
Right over our heads. Hey everybody, welcome back to the HoloNet Marauders podcast. I'm AJ, joined as always by Jamie. Matt's back from Pizza Land, his vacation.
My vacation, gone, over.
And we're super pumped today to be joined by, I don't know if this is like our first multi-crossover podcasting thing, but we're joined once again by Dodge from the Ladylorians. Hello, Dodge. How's it going?
Hello. Good. How are you?
Pretty good.
Well.
And once again, we're joined by Michael, aka RexinAround, and
hello, everyone.
We're so excited. How's it going, Michael?
I am happy to be here.
Good. Fantastic.
We're happy to have you guys. This is very exciting. The Bad Batch ended. We're all a bit emotional, so we're all coming together here today to talk about that. So
this was a totally we're like, oh, who should we ask to come on for our finale episode for the podcast? And we're like, oh, we should ask Dodge. Oh, we should ask Michael. And AJ's like, I'm gonna message both of them. And I'm like, okay.
Just to see what shows up, and we both did.
I know. I the original plan was to be like to ask each of you and not tell either of you that you'd be on, and then just you'd show up. I mean, it would have been ruined in the pre-studio because we'd been like, oh hey, but like I don't know. But then you guys had your meme thing of Michael scaring Dodge on the RexinAround show, so then I was like, oh, this is the perfect time to reveal it. So.
Perfect.
Yep. But I'm glad. This is going to be chaotic.
It really is. I know. I'm excited for it.
It already has been.
I hope we go as off the rails as we can go. And yeah.
Yep. And it's begun.
Already. Here we go.
Perfect.
Oh no.
So yeah, we're here to talk about episode 15, Return to Kamino, and episode 16, Kamino Lost. Very heartbreaking.
And for that matter, the entire season of the Bad Batch, since it's done. And I'm very sad.
For now.
For now. Yeah. Season 1 is done for now, and I don't think it's coming back. Season 2, that's a different story.
Eventually. I mean, I don't know when that's coming, but I clipped a Twitter video together last night. I don't know if you guys saw it, but Dodge like low-key predicted what was going to happen with Crosshair in some way, shape, or form.
I forgot about that, and so I saw your video, and I was like, oh!
I did too. I was going back. I was going back to look for highlights. And I was like, that Crosshair would have his chip out and still be bad, like the way he is. So
yeah.
I mean, as far as we know, his chip is out.
The way the story told us.
No, I don't think it's out.
I do. I believe it's out.
Let me ride the high, Michael.
I think it's out, but
I don't think it's out.
Can we do the hands?
I think it's like defective.
I'm very confused. Who thinks that his chip is out? Dodge.
Okay, Matt, we lose.
I don't though.
Dodge, didn't you just?
I think it's. What are you talking about? I didn't just tweet it. No, this is my opinion.
Well, your opinion.
So what? She predicted that she thinks that it's going to be out. That was the thing, but
that was my prediction.
Right, but now actually thinking about it after seeing it, you feel that the chip is still in, right? That's what
I feel like it's still in, but it's defective. That it's like it's like in and out, like because I don't know, like I don't know how to explain it.
So you're meeting in the middle.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then there's the in and outs.
I feel like Crosshair has like the angel and devil on his shoulders right now, and like he like goes to the devil and he's like, I'm for the Empire, but then he's like, okay, but I'm not fully for them, so I'm gonna go shoot the rest of my team to save the Bad Batch type thing. I don't know, that's how I feel. Like he's just like,
gosh, I don't know. He's never missed a shot, and yet he's missed every shot he's ever taken in the Bad Batch. So to me, I'm like, nah, this is him fighting against it, and it only showed it more in that he saved AZ, not to jump ahead, but I'm like, that is not a man in full control, because he will flip so much back and forth.
But see, I think his missing the Bad Batch, like sparing them, was so that he could get them to join him. I think the constant, oops, I missed. Oh, they got away. Oh, they survived. Is so that he could capture them and bring them to him and have them all join him, as opposed to
that's what his plan was. But I mean, like, I still think the chip is in his head though. Like, I think that like development wise, like character wise, like it would be like kind of cool, I guess, if like it was out and he's like, yeah, I still actually am just like an asshole. But like,
the need.
I'd like to believe that it is the chip though, and that they've done so many enhancements like to it, and they've just like beamed the whatever into his head that like the Empire is like, yeah, we took it out, but they actually didn't, and they're just lying to him. I think that would be like a stronger bit to it.
Also, Crosshair had that line that said, Hunter, you always take things so personally. And right? Is that what he said?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I've been kind of fixated on that line and what that means, because I knew I tweeted a theory before the episode that was what was it? It was like Crosshair doesn't want to hurt Hunter physically. He wanted him emotionally. And so the chip is still in, but he knows that would hurt Hunter more to be like, no, the chip is out. And I think that just goes into every decision he makes. Everything he does is literally just to hurt their feelings because they hurt him. I think he's just catty and manipulative.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like, Tech straight up says that to him, like, as well. Like, that's
the chips make you a manipulative jerk.
So what were those experiments they were doing, or not experiments, but just like when they were doing this stuff? I think, Jamie, you mentioned it way back when in like episode 3 or 4 or whatever. What were they doing to Crosshair? They were just like
cranking it up to 11.
Yeah, I think
cranking
the chip up to 11, and then they took it out at some point, and that's what I
think.
Okay.
Or they took it out and told him they took it out.
Yeah.
And
I think
this is
getting a little too complicated, though. I think
it is.
We're looking too far into this.
I had my chip taken out. I think that's supposed to be like the big twist that we're supposed to take at face value. Like, oh, wow.
Yeah, but he knew that would hurt Hunter more to say, I had my chip taken out. He just wants to hurt Hunter's feelings.
I like that idea.
So it plays into the other thing he said, where he's like, you take things so personally. He knows. So he has his chip in, but he's like, no, this is going to hurt them more.
Yeah.
Did you just change your name? Sorry, this is out of context.
That's good.
Stay on brand.
But like, I feel like the same thing. Like, that's the reason why I'm like, I feel like the chip, he still has the chip, but it's defective, because like, if he had the chip, he wouldn't be able to kill his like team to save the Bad Batch. Like, that wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be for the Empire.
Right.
So I'm like, it's like this in between that like I feel like he has the chip in him, and like realistically he wants to be for the Empire, but he doesn't want to do it in the way that they want him to do. So it's like defective in that way.
To play devil's advocate there, he already did kill a member of his team while the chip was implanted in him. Right?
That was because he was rebelling. That guy was rebelling against orders.
True.
Yeah. That guy was like, no, I'm not gonna follow orders.
But
it's kind of a different.
Could you maybe argue
he killed these guys in rebellion?
Well, he killed these guys because he wanted to replace them with the Bad Batch.
Yeah.
Which could be argued that that's in service of the Empire, killing the weak, culling the weak to get the strong.
But like his team was like the strongest, so why take down number 2? Like,
they're number 3.
Why wouldn't you just keep both of them?
Yeah,
he's petty.
He kind of sucked the whole time, though. His little elite squad clones, they kind of just. I mean, they're like a bunch of nerfed death troopers. I don't like what's another trooper variant? The Sith troopers from Rise of Skywalker. They look really cool, but they don't end up really doing much.
So, yeah,
you know,
really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We Oh no.
We're thrown off.
Great episode, everybody. Thanks so much for.
Yeah. That's a show.
We kind of did just jump to the end, but I know you guys are also going to want to talk about that clone that reported the Kamino foul.
Yeah.
And the emotion there. Jam, I'd love to hear your take on that. I don't know if I'm going in order.
Yeah, we're way out of order. We're technically supposed to do episodes 15 and 16 here. We just jumped right to the end of like 16.
It's fine.
Off the rails.
Sorry.
It's
It's all
good.
good.
We'll try to bring 15.
There are no rules. There are no rules. Don't tell Tech. So the whole point of what am I trying to say?
The clone
The
that was
clone.
blowing
Which
up
one?
Kamino.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the one that like reports to Rampart, because Rampart's like, oh, report. Rampart is the worst, by the way. Like, I don't like him. I don't hate him. He just exists.
I don't care about him.
Like,
he's too vanilla. I mean,
he better get better in season 2. I think he will.
I hope he just dies.
Wow. Season 2 starts with
Truthfully.
Rampart's funeral. Just he
The
died off
season
screen.
Do you think there's
starts with that one clone who reported that Kamino has been destroyed, or Topeka City has been destroyed, and it's him executing Rampart. That's how it starts.
There you go.
But no, like that one clone though.
He could be a fulcrum.
Do you think that Rampart might, because the last time they did this was Callus, and I'm not saying they're just going to copy and paste, but
yeah,
the idea of this leadership in this new era of the Empire, and they're ruthless, and then they start to kind of wake up, because that guy's on a ship with a bunch of clones, and those clones are going to be, I mean, we already know, like, the clone rebellion's coming. That, I think that first clone was a sign of that.
Yeah. It's interesting that Rampart's staff is all clones. Like, that was one of the most interesting bits of me of when Tarkin gives the order, you might fire at will and whatnot, which was fun, just like to slide that in there. But the officers all have the Open Circle Fleet logo, and it's just like, oh, wait a second, like these guys have like seen a lot, and then you realize also that they are still the clones, and it's like, cool. But then like you get in the last episode of just the one clone heartbreakingly telling Rampart that Topeka City has been destroyed, and you can tell that like he's questioning it. He's just like, what are we doing? You literally destroyed my world. And it's just like, it goes back to, in other bits of Star Wars, the Empire or the First Order, eventually they all destroy worlds, which is why people end up rebelling. So like that's like Cassian's backstory, that's Rose's backstory, and like it's like countless others. And the clones are starting to see this firsthand now with the destruction of Kamino and Topeka City.
Yeah, I mean,
that was good.
Yeah,
like
that was really good.
That was deep.
I've been thinking about it.
Yeah,
I said a while ago, and I think it was on the last episode we did with Michael, or the one before the first one. I said that the Kaminoans would be the first Imperial genocide, which is kind of wrong, because I guess, you know, you could count the Purge, the Jedi Purge, as the first Imperial genocide. But, you know, there was a distinct lack of Kaminoans after the prequel era that needed to be accounted for, and I honestly think, like, Nala Se is one of the last. Yeah. She did not look thrilled at the end of episode 16.
No.
We don't necessarily know what they did with all of them, because they said all mandatory personnel.
Yeah, well, and then they say, like, at one point, didn't AZ say something like everybody else, although all the ones who weren't necessary were disposed of? Like, but they were in Nala Se's chamber. Didn't he allude to something like that?
Yeah, something along the lines of that. I don't know if
he was the only one,
but he was referring to droids at least, because AZ hid because he was going to get decommissioned, which is adorable.
Which is funny, because he seemed to have like no problem being decommissioned earlier. Like in the Clone Wars arc, he's like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, right.
I'm about to get decommissioned, and you're going to be a janitor.
AZ has learned self-preservation, guys. This is dangerous.
I'm so glad AZ survived.
Me too. Like, to go off topic for a sec, like, I love that it's pretty much, you know, insinuated that he's going to be the Bad Batch's droid, second droid, second droid.
I'm excited. Yeah. That's how season 2 is going to open. It's going to be Gonki giving AZ a little like jump start, and they're going to be like.
Well, yeah, I mean, Gonki can be the R2 to AZ's C-3PO.
There you go.
So we can have these two.
Done.
Wow,
perfect. The same way, you know.
Does this mean we're going to get droid-centered episodes that are just
amazing
for the Bad Batch?
Yeah, it's revealed that
Chopper finding his leg.
Niebuhr Gascon is Gonki the whole time, and they're ready to go on more adventures.
I like how AZ is pretty much like the last piece of Kamino, and he's like with the Batch. Yeah. I know the clones are pieces of Kamino too and whatnot, but I feel like that's pretty symbolic.
Yeah,
I also thought it would have been heartbreaking, but great if AZ just died saving Kamino and just drifted into back to the wreckage. Like that would have been really cool. But I'm glad he lived. It's Star Wars. We want to be a little bit happy.
them killing the city is like the death that we were all worried about. Everybody's worried like who's going to die in the Bad Batch. We didn't think it was going to be the city.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Tapoka City is like as big of a character as like the Millennium Falcon. Like when you think about it,
it has its own theme. Yeah,
like it is just so important to millions and millions of the clones, obviously, and the entire galaxy, and
the fans.
It definitely is like what that major death would have been. And like a season finale doesn't necessarily need a major death in order to like advance the plot. Like sometimes killing off characters is just so lazy. Like don't give them trauma. Like you don't need to do that.
Right. Especially this early on. I mean, it's just season
destroying
1.
a city though, like that's pretty major. That's enough trauma in which there's loss, but it's not necessarily like loss of someone that they love, but it is just like their home, and it is enough of a driver. And
this was like,
I'm happy that they did it. I am with a very heavy heart sad they did it, but I'm happy that they did it.
This like imperial destruction of a city, or obviously they didn't blow up the planet, but of something, is probably the most heartbreaking one, because Alderaan blows up. We didn't know anything. We've never really been there. We don't know anything about it. Kijimi blows up in Rise of Skywalker. Like we were there for 5 minutes. It was cool, but we didn't have any feel attachment there. Jeddah is, we get the background of Jeddah, but it's all really quick. We've been with Kamino since 2002.
Yeah,
and whatnot.
We've had Kamino for almost 20 years.
Yeah,
and like a whole history and stories told there, and it's all gone.
So it's absolutely a character death. Took off Michael.
On that note, I saw a theory the other day or not a theory, but not a complaint, a point that somebody made that was basically saying, if Alderaan was Naboo, we would have felt much more strongly about it. And I feel like Kamino gave us that sort of like idea. I don't think we've ever been attached to a planet, and it was kind of in my opinion, a small misstep to not just say Naboo is Alderaan. Not just base episode 1 on Alderaan. And so I think this is the first time we got to see what that would have felt like.
That actually would have been a really cool idea, because then you'd have Luke's mom from Alderaan and Luke's dad from Tatooine. The two major planets in the first movie.
Oh yeah,
it's like the people arguing that Hosnian Prime should have been Coruscant. Because you have
that's another one. Like Hosnian Prime like seems cool, but we didn't know anything about it when they blew it up. So.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, that would have just changed like the whole vibe of things. So I'm fixated on this now. But like if you, because like we know obviously, because the way that the movies are released, everything that happens to Alderaan. But like going back into it, like imagine going to see the Phantom Menace for the first time and it's just like Alderaan, and it's like, oh no,
I know what happens
to this. You know it's going to happen. Sometimes knowing it's going to happen is much worse than like just getting surprised by it. And I think that's why like the destruction of Kamino was so impactful, because we had no idea it was going to happen. And it was just so unique.
Yeah, we were guessing, there's going to be like a clone rebellion on Kamino, just like in Legends.
Look,
but
they could still go back and like dig through the wreckage.
There you go, an underwater clone rebellion.
Plus, we gotta throw it out there that the whole the Sidon Ithano comic, Kix gets his Phase 1 armor from Kamino, so they go back.
Well, that's
the thought. Yeah, this
hasn't been written yet.
It's like recent, but like that's the thought. That's how he gets his Phase 1 armor. Is they go back and they're pirates and they scavenge in Kamino. So it's just like,
Yeah.
So
I think there's opportunity.
You assume huge chunks of wreckage are going to float to the surface at some point. So maybe there's like little floating cities of,
it could be there.
Just be careful of those like giant whales that appear for like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And then just like peace out.
Just like appear.
Yeah.
But I guess let's get back to like the story. Both episodes are named after Kamino, so it was good we talked about Kamino for a bit here. But first off, I have a what are these called? A been there Batu mug. Am I allowed to have this if I haven't been there?
No.
I need to make some calls and figure that out.
Okay. I gotta go run away. So.
This is literally the only mug that like we could have physically been there, and we haven't been there.
Right.
It's like they make like Endor or Tatooine and like Hoth and like
next May, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
Okay.
You'll make it. You'll make it.
Anywho, Camino.
That was not
clones.
back on the Bad Batch.
Yeah, right.
Bad
That
Batch.
was
Right.
that was further away from Bad Batch.
No,
than where we started.
I didn't do a good job there, but oh well. We Hunter is captured to transition back here at the end of episode 14, and he has the moment with Crosshair, which we've talked about. And how cool was it just seeing the Batch and included in the Batch Crosshair fight those droids again, and it was a complete parallel from episode 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I said, I think it was in one of our Bad Batch live episodes that the music swelling and the 5 of them taking on the droids is my favorite moment in the season.
That was fun.
Perfect.
Enter the Bad Batch. Bad
Batch is back.
Just
now
perfect.
with more members.
And that's where
Dodge, what do you think about that, Dodge? Dodge hasn't said
about that. I'm sorry. I love hearing you guys talk.
No, it's good.
But you gotta add to it too. We're very excited.
I mean, I feel like here's the thing about 2-part finales. I have the theory, 2-part finales in my experience, the first one is always the more intense one. And I kind of knew that. And so am I echoing? Sorry.
No,
you're good.
Okay. Sorry, my earbuds. Okay. So here's the thing. When I saw the droids come out, I was like, okay, this is going to be epic because we're going to find out real fast about Crosshair's true intentions in this. Even though he killed the other guys, what is he really trying to do here? What does he think gonna happen? And the whole part where jumping again, the whole scene, that kind of just started the okay, what's next for Crosshair? What is he gonna do next in this situation? It was just this suspense this whole time. And I feel like the droid part was kind of Omega wasn't there really, and it was kind of seeing how they still have history with each other in fighting, and you have this hope that maybe, okay, they're gonna come back together, and this is the battle that brings them back together, and they're oh, brothers forever, and all this stuff. But it showed that there was still this tension between them, and it just felt really weird that even though that they were fighting the same, it wasn't the same. And I think that's when I realized that Crosshair is never gonna come back to the Bad Batch as much as we want to have it.
Never.
I really don't think he ever will. No, never. Yeah, I think it's just I'm sorry, but it's true. I will stand by that because I think it's kind of this I think with Star Wars we need to be okay with letting people go. And I think Crosshairs will be a good person to let go eventually. I'm hoping one day he turns good, but I still think it's, I think we need to learn how to let go of characters and let them go on their own path for a little bit and not be take them back,
That's one of the biggest themes of Star Wars is being able to let go. That's very good.
And also family, though, which goes directly against that.
Yeah.
True.
Because I'm more Buddy's part of their family, and Star Wars, family is one of the biggest things is that at the end they're always reunited. So it would be interesting. Are they going to just kind of pivot and change the normal way of storytelling for something that's perhaps more compelling, like Dodge said? Because that would be more compelling. I wouldn't like it more, but it would be more compelling for sure.
Well, also Crosshair stands scare me. And they're always literally they do, because they're just all they're super protective over him, which honestly so. But when I was on Twitter and I was seeing everyone talk about when they were always criticizing Hunter for not asking him one more time to come back with them, and they're why didn't you, Hunter, why didn't you ask one more time for Crosshair to join the team again? And I'm Hunter asked him plenty of times, and people need to respect the decision of Crosshair of saying no. And even if he is under the chip and the chip is making him say no, that's still his decision, and there's still hope in him. But we have to be okay with letting characters go, because we're just not used to that. With cameos and different shows and stuff like that, we're not good at saying goodbye, basically. So it'd be interesting in season 2 to see Crosshair kind of in his own, wherever he ends up, just his own thing, and then hopefully we see them together and stuff. But I do hope that he doesn't come back to the Bad Batch, because I think it would be sentimental, if that makes sense, of like what was.
I like that. It's outside the box, but
well, and I could see a world where maybe he becomes more of like a bounty hunter character, and so he doesn't necessarily, because the dude's got to get his chip out, because even if he gets his chip out, if it's not out, and he decides to not go back to the Bad Batch, then that feels like resolution to me. But as long as he has his chip in, I don't feel like his actions are his own. So if he gets his chip out and decides like, hey, I don't want to go the path you guys have gone, like I'm going to go this path, I kind of like that, because now there's that Star Wars frenemies, like that Obi-Wan and Asajj Ventress sort of relationship of like, we're going to try to fight each other, but not kill each other. And we're on different paths, but sometimes we'll align. And I think that's really interesting. You have like a very dark version of the Bad Batch in Crosshair, and then you have the light version. And we could get them teaming up in future content for specialized missions that call for it that they don't normally associate. I would think that would be cool.
Yeah, I could see like, if I like the theory of Crosshair becoming a bounty hunter as well, because I don't think he'll go back to the Empire. I don't think they would really take him back or want to take him back, and I don't think he was betrayed by them. So I can see maybe
just let him die with the rest of the squad. So like Rampart thinks that
he's done with
Crosshair betrayed the Empire by executing his entire squad and then teaming up, because that's what that one trooper like sees. And so like according to the Empire, Crosshair has like already like defected. So
did that one trooper? What did the one trooper see? He had already left. So
they didn't see everything. So the one trooper that was like tracking Omega, they came back into the room, and all of the elite squad were down, and Crosshair was fighting the droids with the batch. And so based on someone walking into the room, Short Trooper with Trey, just like observing, just this person killed everyone, and I need to leave, and so that's why they left. And so based on that account, I don't think based on that alone, I don't think the Empire will be very kind and like welcoming him back, if they even did. So whoever like recovers him, I think he might be like locked up for a little bit, because they'll be like, well, this is what you did, and we don't trust you. So
who would go back to Kamino, or who would go to Kamino? Like, who do we think Crosshair could be picked up by? Like, he doesn't have a comm link or anything to contact anyone. I don't think. So he's kind of just in a castaway situation.
Yeah, I guess. I feel like whenever you leave a character behind, it's implied that they always have some kind of communications device to contact, the Empire or whatever.
I mean, he took his gun. He took his
Hunter just straight up like steals his gun. Like
he doesn't have his helmet anymore either. Huh?
I was gonna say, Michael, you made the beautiful Crosshair helmet, and now it's just at the bottom of the ocean. Yeah.
Wild idea. Since Crosshair doesn't have his helmet anymore, what if and if the Empire does take him back, what if we start seeing Death Trooper helmets in the next season?
Yeah,
it seems like correct evolution.
Yeah, because like it's like, oh, it's gone. Here's a new one, and it's just like.
What do we think of the TK armor? I mean, I'd like to get our takes on that.
I really like it.
Yeah,
I love that Phase 1 Stormtrooper armor, as it were.
Yeah, just when we thought there was original Stormtrooper armor, there's now other original Stormtrooper armor. But it was cool to see, and they used the McQuarrie concept art again, which is always fun. And
which makes sense. Like, I would have liked to see the Battlefront Phase 3 with the Stormtrooper eyes, the Stormtrooper abdomen, and some of the armor pieces. I would have really liked to see that, just because I think that armor is like really beautiful and well done. But again, it makes sense for Star Wars because the concept art comes before the final product. So if you're going to go back and say, well, what's the final product and what's the concept art? It does make more sense that way. But I don't know if you guys have seen the Battlefront Phase 3 clones. I think it's Battlefront, right? Or is it Force Unleashed? It's one of the two.
Might be Force Unleashed.
You guys know what I'm talking about? Haunted, the artist Haunted, does a ton. If you type in Phase 3 clones, you'll see a ton of his art of Phase 3 clones on Google, and they're really like elegant in a cool mix of OT and prequel. But the McQuarrie concept does make more sense in the legacy of Star Wars.
Right. And I always
they just look too nice.
Yeah,
it makes me sad.
Yeah.
And then obviously it was amazing to see the commandos in this series, and the light up visors and all that is always fun to see. And at the end of the show, the not post credit scene, but I kind of call it that, the post show scene.
It was the final scene of this season. It wasn't post. It was just.
Well, it's kind of like a.
You got me worried. I was like, did I miss something?
Did I miss something?
It's
just a weird way.
Make it something it's not. It was just the final scene.
Right. We see that planet with those cool mountain bases, and there's a ton of. It's all commandos there, right? There wasn't one TK or clone. I think it was all commandos escorting Nala Se off. Yeah.
Were they gray? Did they have like gray stripes?
Yeah, a couple of them.
He did.
Yeah.
Cool.
And obviously
I was just very distracted by the scientist, so the Imperial cloner scientist with the same outfit as Dr. Pershing, because she has like a tech visor and the worst fringe haircut I've ever seen in my entire life. And
you don't know style. You don't know style.
I could not like look past it. Like I barely absorbed the rest of the scene. Like I literally didn't know there was like commandos, like all commandos in the scene, because all I could think of was this like poor girl's haircut. Because I was just like, what's going on here?
It's got to match the goggles with the.
It was like lined up right away.
I have a lore question for you guys, because you guys are like the lore experts. Mount Tantus. Are you familiar at all? Because I just learned about it yesterday, so I'm interested to know.
We learned about it Friday, technically, from an outside source.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So but I'm not that familiar with it now. Because that's a Legends thing, right?
I just read the description right here for everybody who isn't. Mount Tantus was a mountain on the planet of Wayland that housed one of Emperor Palpatine's secret storehouses. And then the quote is, "The Emperor had a private storehouse. It was where he kept all of his private mementos and souvenirs and odd bits of technology he thought might be useful someday. One of the artificial caverns held a complete cloning facility."
Souvenirs.
Is that what this mount is? Are they bringing it in?
It has to be, right?
Could be. I mean, that description just feels like one of Palpatine's observatories. You know, in canon, he builds the observatories on the fringe outer rim, you know, looking into the unknown regions. And that's where he keeps all his, you know, souvenirs and mementos and other odds and ends. So, yeah, that could definitely be tied to that for sure.
There's a really cool graph. Maybe I'll send it to you guys. There's like literally a graph of the schematics of the mountain, which is super cool.
Yeah, I gotta get that.
Star Wars,
that's really
nerds,
cool,
man.
But you know, go ahead, Dodge.
Sorry, this is kind of off topic. But when I first saw when they took Nala Se into the mountain, I was like, oh, okay, I think she's like a good guy, but she's a bad guy. So like she's gonna do something like the chip inside the clones, and then I'm like completely forgetting about like Rise of Skywalker and all this stuff. And I'm like just like, oh yeah, this is all coming together. But I don't know. I had hope, and then
it's all good though. I mean, like I feel like this is gonna become a like Galen Erso type situation in which like they were a scientist, very revered in their own fields, and then the Empire realized what they could do, and they're like, all right, well, you're gonna do what you were doing, but do it for us, and you're gonna do it like this. And then they're gonna realize, okay, I need to like build like my exit strategy. And so Galen Erso obviously builds the defect in the Death Star. And so I think that's what Nala Se is going to try to do, because she is so nervous like walking into like that facility, and like she knows everything that she knows from the past is gone. Just like what happened with Galen, because he was ripped away from his family in order to do the work. He just wanted to study his crystals, man. He didn't like want to build a Death Star. Like that's all he wanted to do. Rogue One Catalyst is a really good book, by the way. Like I'm not like a big Rogue One fan, like we all know this, but like Rogue One Catalyst is a really good book about like Galen and Krennic's politics on the side. So I mean, like Nala Se, I think is gonna do something really similar.
Yeah, I like that.
You can't really build like an exit strategy for a clone, but like
I know Corey would hate me for saying this, but I felt bad for Nala Se. Like
I agree.
She looks sad. I mean, I don't. Maybe I shouldn't feel bad because she's kind of evil. But, yeah.
She just
and then I don't think she wants some guy. I just think she doesn't want to die herself.
Do we?
That's true.
Guys, do we see Grogu in this mountain? Like, is he there?
Oh my god, I didn't even think about that.
Well, okay, so he was taken from the temple, and was it by a Jedi? So like I don't.
Do we know that?
Doesn't she say like he was rescued from the temple?
I think it says he was rescued from the temple would imply that he was not like captured and brought from the temple.
And have the Empire had him in their control pre-Mandalorian, because when we find Baby Yoda, they're trying to get him.
Yeah, and they're really desperate for some baby blood, which means they don't have any baby blood.
Which,
they need more.
As much as I'd love to see that, I don't think Grogu is there yet. I don't think he will be there, and I think that was the whole point, was they were trying to track him down. The fact that what's also interesting is there's no mention of that mountain, so I don't think that mountain survives, or the cloning facility there survives, because they tend to go pretty scattered with it, especially after the fall of the Empire. So something definitely happens, and I wonder if we're going to get to see that in season 2. I wonder if that mountain is going to be kind of the main meeting point for the biggest plot points in season 2. Now, knowing Star Wars, they could never mention it again, and that's just what we have to deal with. But it would be cool to make that mountain a new character. That becomes the new Kamino, but in a more sinister way.
Yeah, I like that. I really like that, actually, especially because they took the time to make it really cool and build
really cool.
Area.
It looks awesome.
The collector in me wants to see all of those collection rooms.
Yeah.
I love how the description of what you shared was their souvenirs. All I'm picturing is Palpatine collecting the Starbucks mugs from across the galaxy and the globes, and he's just
has he been there?
Up. Yeah.
So you brought it full circle, Jamie. It wasn't a waste.
I mean, in Shattered Empire, it's revealed that he collected the trees from the Jedi Temple, and I always found that really funny. They have these trees in these force fields, and they're like,
"You remember that tree?
Nobody can have these trees."
Okay, he's a fan.
Brings it.
Yeah, he's a big fan.
Palpatine's a big nature guy. Didn't you know this?
Yeah, he is. Wow, I love this knowledge now. Every once in a while,
that mountain. I've been really focused on the mountain since figuring out what that was. I saw it in a TikTok. I wonder if we saw the same TikTok. But it's now I'm kind of really obsessed with it in a way that I want it to become a huge part, and I'm trying to keep my expectations settled. But they made that mountain look too cool, and in my defense,
they did.
I wonder if Nala Se blows up the mountain, and that's why they have to start up again with Grogu.
Literally, Galen Erso it. She's gonna talk to the engineers and be like, "Hey, can you make this little half-meter wide exhaust port?" And we're gonna
because I mean we're quite some time from the Grogu time, so I mean if they had that much time on their hands, I feel they could figure this out by now. So part of me thinks that it all gets destroyed and then they have to start up again.
Do you think there could be an episode in Bad Batch where the Bad Batch have to protect a Jedi baby or something from these people trying to collect them?
Jedi babies, they're everywhere these days.
They are.
I don't know
those Jedi babies.
They just venture real close into just copy and pasting the Mando. So I wonder.
That's true.
They just keep taking on kids.
I hope that they don't. Honestly, I love that the Bad Batch didn't really focus on the Jedi at all. It was just the clones and that's it.
We almost got through the entirety of season 1 without a lightsaber being ignited.
They literally had a lightsaber in the first episode, Matt.
Sorry, that's what I meant. The one is the only time a lightsaber is ignited in the entirety of season 1.
Aside from Order 66, when we would expect to see Jedi, happens, but then we don't see them at all the entire series in that season so far. And I think that was really important that it wasn't a Jedi centered show. That's a lot for me to say because I love the Jedi, but I actually like the clones a lot more than the Jedi. So
yeah, that's fair.
And out of season 2, is on that note, is that what you would rather see? Would you rather see more of the strings of the sequel trilogy tying together, or would you rather see clone troopers becoming soldiers once again, and Rex kind of assembling this squad or division of clone troopers that have fallen away from the Empire? What direction do you want to go? Do you want to go clone heavy, or do you want to go kind of Force users heavy? So
I think that there's room for both, but let me explain. So I think that the main plot of it should be clone rebellion and Rex building up the crew, working with the Batch and finding everyone else, working with Gregor, finding Wolf, and making sure that is all tied up so that way it'll eventually tie into how Rex ends up with everyone in Rebels. But then at the same time, we can have this side story of what Nala Se is doing, and then somehow I feel Crosshair will get involved with whatever that is if he ends up working for the Empire or freelancing in some way. I don't think it'll necessarily involve Force users just yet. I think that it'll just be more, all right, we want you to ramp up cloning again, but we want you to try different things. I don't know, and maybe Crosshair will start like bounty hunting like Jedi kids and working with Inquisitors, and I hope that doesn't happen, but maybe it will.
So it's kind of like what Mando seems to do. Like it has its own story plot, and it's kind of sprinkled in lore that might connect to the sequels. I mean, I know we still don't have concrete evidence on whatever that was in that facility on what you call it on Navarro, but I don't know. I definitely want to see it follow to go off what Jamie said. I want to see it follow Rex's rebellion.
Yeah. If I had my way, I would prefer that over the sequel trilogy connections, which is a big thing for me to say.
Yeah.
Because I'm all for the sequel trilogy connections. But yeah, definitely I love the idea that the clones will eventually rebel. And I do feel like it's going to be like a majority of clones. I think they're kind of setting up the clones to be like these incredibly weary people who just don't want to be involved in this anymore, even though their chips are like pushing them towards it. And I think it's going to be a majority of the clones, if not practically all of them, that, you know, perform this uprising and get wiped out, unfortunately.
Season 2 is going to start with Hauser breaking out of prison, first of all.
Oh.
Yeah. Miss him.
So.
Oh, yeah.
Miss that man.
Needs to come back.
And I can't imagine, sorry, Dodge, just on that last note, I can't imagine that they work with the actual rebellion because I think we would have heard of that.
Right.
Right.
The Clone Wars was such a myth to people in the rebellion. It was a myth to Luke. And so I feel like there's going to be no crossover, which makes me even more sad. Sorry, Dodge, go for it.
No, yeah, like I was thinking, I don't know. I have this love-hate relationship with this right now because I would love to see more sequel, like, because obviously we have a lot of questions about the sequels, but also the clones itself, like for people who have only seen the movies, like the clones aren't like a big part of the movies or the prequels, you know, and that's why the Clone Wars was so special to us because we like get to like put like a name to these characters and stuff. And I think it would just kind of be super sentimental if the clones, you know, whatever they did a rebellion or whatever, and they go out big basically, and it kind of just puts it all together. Like we have no idea how much these clones like influenced everything that has happened in the past. And I think it would be really cool to see a rebellion, but yeah, I don't know if they're going to do that. I mean, I feel like they're kind of like trying their best to put whatever they can to make the sequels trilogy like kind of be more involved with these shows. And so I don't know. I mean, but who knows? We could have like 7 seasons of this. We don't know. So
I'd be signing up for that.
Yeah. So honestly, I would love to see the Clone Rebellion, but we don't know what's going to happen next. There's so many options that they can go.
How much of a role do we think like Rex will play in this show going forward? Like obviously, I don't know. It's the Bad Batch, and we obviously want it to follow them. But like, what do you guys think about that?
I think he's going to play a big role. 4-episode arc. Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm down for that in the show. I think he's going to be maybe a regular. I could probably see that.
A reg? No.
Yeah.
Mediator.
I wonder if he's gonna be like the Ahsoka of the Rebels to the Bad Batch in terms of like how much he influences them. Because I feel like, I mean, I love Rex. I want him on all the time. Right. But like, I feel like this would make me love Rex even more. So I want him on.
But I love him enough. It can happen more.
Yeah.
I feel like he like already is though. Like the last time that we see him in this season is he reaches out to the Batch, literally like, I need you guys like right now to do this thing and to go rescue Gregor. And that's kind of like along the lines of like what Ahsoka would do as Fulcrum, and she would just feed information and be like, hey, there's this thing, do it, or
that's
I'll relay the information.
Yeah.
And it makes sense.
I
don't want to ask
like,
but AJ, go ahead.
I'm scared. I was just gonna finish that by saying, I mean, it is the Filoni connected tissue trilogy of animation here. I don't know, whatever. Matt, you call it like the Filoni trilogy. So yeah,
connected tissue of information.
That's a good term. I like that term.
So
I like that term a lot.
Rex plays a big part in each of these series. You know, Clone Wars, obviously, Bad Batch, and then Rebels. So I think that'd be cool.
Yeah.
So what's your bad thing you're going to say, Jamie?
Oh, it's not bad. I don't want to be the person to ask it, but I'll ask it. Do we think we're going to see Ahsoka?
Yeah.
Eventually,
I don't want to see Ahsoka in the show though.
Really?
I love her, but like,
Right.
I don't think she needs to be in it.
Yeah.
Well, how does
I think that? Do you think Ahsoka and Rex have parted ways? I mean, he has her droid at one point, or no, the girls do. So are the girls with Ahsoka? The Martez sisters, are they with Ahsoka? And Rex is with a miniature rebellion? Like, what is that?
That could be possible. Yeah.
I can see that.
If they were to show her at all, it would be how they parted ways, because I think that needs to be like established of yes, they parted ways like after the events of the Siege of Mandalore, because not because of like the book, but just like in general, like I feel like it needs to be said that they parted ways, because like we've talked about before, like how long of a timeline the Bad Batch has been so far, and like we're thinking it's somewhere around like 6 months, I think ish. And so like at that point in time, like we obviously don't know what Rex has been doing the entire time, but he's been by himself from everything that we've seen, and if we haven't seen her already, I feel like we're not going to. And they probably did already part ways, and she's doing her own thing, and I think that it would make more sense for her to stay in contact with the Martez sisters, who are just civilians, versus still like staying in touch with Rex, which is a risk of, you know, an ex-Jedi and a clone still talking to each other. That's just different.
Does she go down the road of finding Jedi? Does she find Kenobi? Like, what do you think that she's off on her own, you know, path? And if that's the case, are we maybe not going to see her in this, but we see her in a live action shows?
I think that they'd like to do that more, possibly.
Yeah. That could be dangerous, though, because now we're entering into like overwriting the Ahsoka novel territory.
I was going to ask about that, the E.K. Johnston book, right?
Yeah.
Well, they're already doing it right.
They already did kind of mess with it a little bit.
True.
You said it before. The stories that get like released is just accept like what you think is like your favorite part of it. That's like the biggest deal.
Right.
And, like there's always going to be like differences, and as always, there's always truth in legends. I'm just gonna end it with that, even though that wasn't a legend.
Right. And I even think canon is kind of somewhat liquid in that it can change shape depending on the perspective, like from a certain point of view, like depending on the perspective of the person. You know, it could be a very different story that somebody just decides to not include a certain part or change it. It's marketing. It's the same truth, but there's just a different sort of frosting on it. And so, you know, I hope at least that we see. I hope we see Rex leave Ahsoka for the purpose of allowing Ahsoka to figure out what happened to the Jedi. Because if Ahsoka jumps straight into another war against the Empire, it's kind of like, it's a little bit self-serving to fans of the Clone Wars. I would rather see Ahsoka start down a journey of figuring out what happened with the Order, you know, what made her jaded in The Mandalorian. Like, I want to learn more about that, you know, because we see her in Rebels and she's very much a solo Force user. And so, like, does she commune with Obi-Wan? Does she know that Obi-Wan is alive? Like, does she find Boss? Like, what are we looking at with that? And the more that you tie her into the Bad Batch story, the more it's just like, okay, well, you're just trying to sell more Ahsoka merch.
Yeah.
I even think like, oh, go ahead, Dodge.
Sorry. No,
okay.
Well, I was going to say, like, I feel bad for the Bad Batch, because even in this first season, like, I feel like, I don't know, we're so focused on the whole like clone to stormtrooper idea that's going on that I don't know why, but like I just feel like the Bad Batch like isn't the focus of it, if that makes sense. And I'm scared to invite more, you know, love characters that we love into the story, because I want to see how why the Bad Batch is important in this, if that makes sense, other than just being there, you know. And so as much as I would love to have Ahsoka in it, I don't know. I think I just want to see more Bad Batch, you know.
I guess I got caught up in thinking about all the connections. That's a good point. Like, why are we following the Bad Batch? Why are the Bad Batch important, as opposed to just like being here when this happens, being here when this happens, and it's like, oh, you know, that's a good point.
That is a really good point. I I was gonna keep talking about Ahsoka, but now I feel like
sorry.
We're past Ahsoka.
No, that's good. I'd rather focus on the Bad Batch.
She's getting her own show.
Yeah,
I think that like all the cameos that were made within like this season so far were done with purpose, and it wasn't overdone. I think that each person that we saw will eventually come to light again. Like we'll see Saw again, obviously. We'll see Fennec and Cad Bane again, and we'll
Roland
definitely
Durand.
see, like, I don't know if we'll see like Hera again, like within this series, but maybe I will probably see Roland Durand again because, like, I don't know, he was a minor enough of a guy.
There. Yeah, he's cool.
Yeah, there. We'll see the Pikes.
What's his name?
Roland Durand.
Roland Durand. Roland in the Deep Durand.
He's
he was
the Deveronian.
The little ruby animal.
Oh yeah.
Took over Sid's and this
Crime lord guy.
I can tell he made a big impact on you, and you're dying to see him in season 2.
Totally forgot about him.
Exactly. So like, that would have been a good trivia question. Name 3 minor side characters. Roland Durand. There you go. Yeah. What are Bolo and Ketch doing? Like we haven't seen them since they stole Ruby from Roland.
Yeah, we totally ditched Sid too. Everybody was
Gregor.
Like, yeah. If you look at like all the past discussions where like, oh yeah, Sid's done for, she's dead, or like whatever, and that it looks like she's just dropped.
And then like
I like
Gregor's
Sid.
Just, like, oh, he dropped off like Gregor with like Sid. She wasn't happy. Like, what was that conversation? Like,
hey, look,
what?
you know, you get Rhea Perlman, you keep Rhea Perlman. You don't get rid of her. So they need to bring her back like immediately.
Immediately.
You know what absolutely sent me in the finale? So they decide to escape the lab by getting launched in like the tubes, which was really cool and really interesting. And they all have to double up, but except Wrecker, obviously, because he's huge. And then Omega's by herself.
Also,
I was thinking that. I was like,
I don't know why.
Well, they had to.
And obviously, you put Hunter and Crosshair together. Polite, they're having a moment. They're intense. But then, like Tech and Echo, in the same team.
So okay, so
no, they just appear in the background, and there's just the fire and the brimstone behind them, and they're both just sitting there, like.
Practically speaking, they needed Ahsoka they needed Omega to be alone in the pod when she's like sinking to the bottom. That's obviously the story reason.
Yeah,
but I guess so. Like.
Tech literally says the buoyancy should be like enough as long as the weight is properly distributed.
He says like, oh, we got to even out the buoyancy. So nobody weighs the same as Omega. So Omega needs to be alone.
It's a good idea.
It's quite the plan.
Weird idea.
It
was very Finding Nemo
of AZ.
Yeah.
I saw that on Twitter.
That made me laugh so much.
Now what?
It's been too quick.
Oh, the Get Along shirt with Crosshair and Hunter.
That's all that. Oh gosh. Well,
I guess I have a pretty simple question of the week.
Oh boy.
Just what was your favorite moment of season 1? You can start with Dodge, I suppose, if you want, or Michael. Whoever's ready.
Hold on, I gotta think.
Give me a minute.
Okay.
Yeah, give me a minute.
We'll start with Jamie.
I even need a minute too.
I'll throw it out there. Tech saying I understand you, but doesn't necessarily mean I agree with you.
Yeah.
Is one of my new all-time favorite like Star Wars quotes like of all time. As I say all time like 20 times. But that was huge.
Good one. I like that. That was a powerful moment.
I also think just like moment-wise, I loved the cafeteria food fight scene. That everything about that was probably like my favorite like moment like of the series.
Mine's not necessarily like a moment, but I just love Cut Locane, and I just love Cut teaching Hunter how to be a dad and whatnot in those moments.
Yeah,
and I don't know. That was early on, but
and the way he treats Omega when she's in trouble, and they're like all scolding her, and he like
and he's like, it's okay,
guys.
I loved that.
That is.
What about you, Matt?
Well, I kind of I answered when the music swells and the Bad Batch comes back together.
Right.
Droids. Yeah, and I don't want to say anything else because I don't want to steal anybody else's favorite moment. So I guess I'll go last, even though I've already said mine. I'll say another one.
I liked the battle on the defunct destroyer where Crosshair gets burned, but that whole sequence of them, the standoff, the turrets firing again, the engine like blast, them blowing that ring off, like that whole sequence was probably one of my favorite. parts.
Yeah.
Yeah, Braca.
It's a wonderful
Great.
choice, Roland around.
You guys literally got so many good ones. Now I'm like, I don't even know anymore. I don't know. I love seeing, this is not a specific part, but I love seeing Omega become more of the team and like being able to fight with them more. But I specifically love when they're rescuing Gregor and they're like flying off the cliff and stuff like that, and Omega's driving and like Tech is like, that was sufficient, I'll take over now. Like I love that. I love that scene because it's kind of like how she's slowly becoming more of the team and like helping out in different ways that is actually helpful. And it was kind of just like, I think in that scene alone, I was like, okay, maybe this is what season 2 is going to be about, of them like rescuing people. But also like the whole like Hunter falling and like the background and stuff. I don't know. I just really like that scene itself.
That's good.
Yeah, that entire like sequence is like cinematically like incredible. Like everything on Zaro was just like so stunning and so beautiful. And that scene is just so intense and really, really good.
I think I'm crazy. I didn't choose.
I'm gonna say Hera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything with Hera and Omega. It was like I don't know. But I love Cut too, so I'll stick with Cut. But everything with Hera and Omega was so good.
Hera's French accent, that's what I'll say. Is my favorite moment.
And her walking onto the Marauder and being like, oh, I'd love to live on a ship one day. And it's like, oof.
Do you think we're gonna see Hera again in the Bad Batch?
I don't know. Probably not.
There's a light chance, but
maybe.
Probably not.
I don't think so.
Well,
I liked her in season 1. I just don't see where else she could go. She's got that.
Is Hauser still on Ryloth?
No, he's probably locked away in some random prison.
Okay.
She's gotten her reassurance as a pilot, so.
Will there be a moment in season 2 where they find the prison that they lock all the clones in, and we go in there and it's just like a greatest hits album of our favorite clone troopers all in holding cells ready to be released? That just makes it so easy.
That'd be so cool though.
I feel like that could happen because like the Empire, no one's gonna like come and like attack release these guys. Is Dogma still alive?
I think.
Has he been locked up for like the entire like back half of the war?
Is Hawk still alive?
Probably.
Like, what is
Hawk?
Bring back Dogma season 2. That's my prediction.
I'm really curious, and I'm curious about this Cody thing because Cody's been bouncing around for a long time. There's been a lot of rumors about Cody in a lot of different series, and we have to see that closure. And I wonder if they hold it for something like Kenobi, although I kind of don't imagine they would, but it would be. The fan in me really wants them to.
That'd be amazing.
And I wonder if we don't see him in the Bad Batch because of that, which would be.
I hope that they do. For this whole moment, like Dodge mentioned earlier, like a fan who's just seen the movies, like the clones like aren't much, but Cody is like the clone that you see in the movies.
Yeah.
So like I feel like
they
it'd
have
be
to use
important
him
for him
in
to
one,
eventually show up.
At least they have to use him in either Kenobi or Bad Batch. You can't.
Yeah.
I feel like we can't go both shows without him at least showing up in one.
What would be more powerful? Sorry, Dodge. What would be more powerful, like Cody and Rex facing? I'm assuming Cody would say bad, but like Cody and Rex's relationship, or Cody and Kenobi?
I know the idea that Cody was going after Kenobi like his white whale. I always liked that idea, and I wish I want to see that if that ends up, being the case. I don't know.
That makes me sad seeing if I love that idea, but also Rex and Cody fighting over it would be like I'm emotional,
heartbreaking. Yeah,
I'm just like spacing out right now, just thinking of that because I'm like, what if Rex is the broken man he is in Rebels because he had to kill Cody?
Oof.
Why did you bring that up?
Because I thought of it.
Why would you do
I
this?
didn't want to, and.
Well, let's all take a moment.
Actually, you know what my favorite moment was in the Bad Batch was the fact that their ship is named the Havoc Marauder, and I can't get enough of that.
Show off the Lego. Well,
that was
careful.
Oh yeah, did you finish it?
I'm terrified every time she grabs it.
Enough of this. Like I
Beautiful.
I'm so happy that it exists, and I'm so happy that it survived the season because we bought the Razor
That
Crest
is true.
like a week before the Razor Crest blew up, and I was so worried that this was.
Hey, you have season 2.
Yeah.
Better hold on tight.
Yeah.
You know, one thing I forgot to mention. My favorite moment of season 1 is definitely when Echo gets his extendo arm. That was just so exciting.
Go Gadget.
And I'm just can't wait to see more of his extendo arm. That was totally a thing.
Yeah.
That exists in the character, figures. Still don't know why,
so I guess happened. To jump off that, one quick hope for season 2. What do you guys? One quick hope. What do you think?
One quick hope.
One quick hope.
I'll
or
say
one
before
wish.
anybody else says Clone Rebellion.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's all of us.
That's good. It's good stuff.
That's good.
Yeah, Clone Rebellion season 2. Let's go.
Let's do.
I feel like I want so much.
No Bad Batch member to die. Still, like,
wow.
I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
I don't want any of them.
We made it through season 1, but
Echo to have more lines or something.
Hey,
literally.
I was just gonna say Echo to like have like more of an impact / Echo talking to Rex about fives to button that up, just to seal that away, and so we have that closure. Please.
You know what? I want to see Alderaan. I'm back to Alderaan.
Ooh.
I want to see Alderaan.
Interesting.
That'd be cool.
Bail Organa. Let's bring him back. Let's see Alderaan. Let's chill.
I
like that.
For me, I would say I want to see more of who Omega is in terms of why people want her. Because we kind of like, that was like the big thing of season 1, and then we kind of just never talked about it again. And I'm like, okay, well, now I need to know. So, I don't know. I kind of just want her to be like a normal clone, but everyone's like, she has to be something more. So I'm like, okay, let's just like clear the air there.
That is kind of a loose end,
Makes you obviously similar to all the other clones, but she can still be no one, because that again is also a huge theme in Star Wars. Nobody can be somebody, and I think that Omega can do that.
That could be taken two different ways. One is the antithesis of Star Wars, and one is the thesis of Star Wars. That nobody can be anybody.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm like, the words just like jumbled in my head, like as you said that, and I'm like, who?
Fancy talking, Matt.
What? Huh? Right. Okay. That's the Bad Batch chat, guys.
Yeah. We were so serious today, guys. We weren't even that chaotic.
I'm sorry.
It was
supposed to go off the rails.
We did too good of a job.
We're very sad.
Yeah, Dodge is just too serious.
It's over.
What it is.
I'm sorry.
It's hard when you're on video because you don't. It'll mute everybody when you start talking. So I never want to just like go wild when we're doing these video chats, because I just am probably steamrolling people as I'm going crazy.
It's all right if you do. It's fine. But
we should do a late night episode soon.
Oh my gosh, that'd be so much
I'll
fun.
go hard.
How late night for you guys? Because that's super late night for us.
Well, no, I mean late night, like yeah, we'll do 7 p.m. or something. Pacific.
Yeah, 7 p.m. Get lit.
Yeah, that's right when Greg starts his streams. I mean, that's my part-time job.
We'll call it.
I know, literally.
That
I
is
think
a part-time job.
It would be cool to do, because you could do a live on your YouTube channel. And you could do like a big, crazy, fun, rambunctious Q&A / challenge / trivia. I'm in for that. That'd be fun.
I would love to do that.
That would be really cool.
I'm making my notes.
Oh, rolling around. I just noticed that.
Anyway.
Thank you.
God.
Yeah, he's been rolling around since like a while ago. But you notice that. You're not watching the video, but whatever.
I've been slow today. Sorry.
It's okay.
I'm trying to consume my. It's like it's 1 here for us, and it's like we're super early for these guys, kinda. So.
Still early. Oh my gosh. Anyway, thank you, Dodge. Thank you for coming on our show today, and thank you, Michael. Thank you both so much for coming on to the HoloNet Marauders podcast again.
Thank you for having us.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you for having us as always.
Someone's speeding by outside.
While somebody's driving by outside, I'll say you're quickly becoming like kind of the gathering point of every smaller Star Wars creator who likes to make content.
I love
Everybody
you guys.
I see is coming on your guys' channel, so it's cool. It's like your little community hub. You're like the library of the Star Wars community universe. You know everything. You have all the answers. You're pretty structured, but it's still
Pretty
kind of
structured.
exciting to know every time.
It's true. You guys are really like, you know a lot, and you're also a lot of fun, which is kind of like hard to find in
That's
Star Wars.
That's exactly what we're trying to do.
So
Thank you.
You can tell. I love it. I love you guys
so much. Thank you. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna.
No, we're all gonna go cry.
We're getting too big heads. Can't. Gotta let the air out a little bit.
Okay. Anyway, thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you so much for listening to the HoloNet Marauders podcast. We're all here holding our favorite things. At least Matt and I are. AJ, I don't know what he's doing. So
your mug.
There you go.
Chopper.
Oh, very nice. There you
Yay.
go. Thank you guys so much for listening to the HoloNet Marauders podcast. You can find HoloNet Marauders everywhere at HoloNet Marauders. And thank you guys so much. We'll see you next time.